Well, a 500 road trip, and Mookie came back down to earth a little bit. But hey, Shohei Ohtani is, in fact, Shohei Ohtani. My name's Ryan Bershinger, and today I'm going to tell you why their loss on Wednesday was their first actual loss of the season, which is great news for all of us.
And I'm Monse and let's just say I spoke too soon about James Outman, but I'm not mad about it.
I am Beau Benson, and I'm going to take a victory lap on my Gavin Lux take, because boy, oh boy, that's embarrassing.
That's right. All that and much more. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Let's go.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. The Dodger Zone.
That's strike three. Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter at 10:17 in the evening of June the 29th, 1990. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
The sickest LA Dodgers podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Well, that is 10 wins in the first 15 games of the season for the Dodgers, the first team in the National League to hit 10 wins. And of course, they're at the top of the NL West, as they're going to be all season. First off, I want to a little.
Jeez, dude. Come on.
I'm confident, as mentioned. Look at the rest of the NL West right now. Literally, everyone else is under 500.
That's true. You're right.
It's early. I get that. But like, I thought the Giants would be better than the way that they looked.
Yeah.
Ryan, it's literally like week one of the NFL.
I know.
So when I was hearing like, oh, the Yankees are the first to 10, the Dodgers are the first. Everybody shut up.
Okay,
week one of the NFL. Chill.
That actually annoys me too, because I mean, Twitter obviously full of just the best minds imaginable, but it's like I think the Yankees finished their game like 10 minutes before the Dodgers did. So yeah, they're technically the first to 10 wins, but like, come on, man. The Dodgers started their season earlier, so they're the first to 10 wins. Use your brains, guys.
Did you guys see there was this Padres fan who was trying to drag the MLB Twitter account?
Yeah,
being like,
I did see that guy.
Look at it. Oh, geez. We're gonna have to deal with all season. Look at this. They're celebrating the Dodgers just for getting 10 wins, and then people are like, the MLB Twitter account has done this like every year for the past decade. Whoever gets to 10 to 20, 30.
I mean, but you wouldn't expect a Padres fan to know what Major League Baseball was tweeting, last year.
That's rude, but they deserve it. Carry on.
Let me just check the schedule real quick. Who do they got playing this week? Okay.
So we had the first. The Dodgers capped off this 500 road trip. They lost 2 in Chicago. They won the first 2 in Minnesota, and then lost the day game on Wednesday in Minnesota. Now, the point that I said in the intro is that this is the first actual loss of the season, because if you look back on their other losses this year, all of them were because of something stupid, right? And by stupid, I mean in the sense of like baseball stupid, right? Like stupid things happen in baseball. Again, I'm not attacking K-pop whatsoever. K-pop is phenomenal. However, the K-pop band definitely messed up with Yamamoto's debut, and he got shelled in Korea. That was also, hours after the Ohtani and Ippei stuff came out. And that was a 15-11 game, and it's in Korea, and it was practically a spring training game. You can throw that one out the window.
Yeah.
You had the loss to the Cardinals in the first homestand. Joe Kelly blew up in an inning.
Yeah. And that one didn't count because I fell asleep before it ended. So
exactly,
I didn't even see it.
Yeah, that's how we count games if Bo's awake or not.
Exactly.
Ryan.
There's this special column in the standings. It's like how hockey.
It's like in hockey. Yeah.
Win, losses, Bo fell asleep. And then you have they swept the Giants. You have 2 losses to Chicago. One of them was a rain delay. right? Like that game, and it was the longest. Beau probably slept for 8 hours and then woke up and they were still in rain delay. And then everything.
No, I
was
went
fine.
to work, came home, and I think the game ended on the way home. Or maybe not.
It was so ridiculous.
It was
that
very
rain
dumb.
delay. That rain delay was so dumb.
Number one, let me just point out, I'm glad that we're skipping the Ohtani home run stuff because that's old news and nobody cares anymore. Snooze fest. Number two, it's really funny that like your K-pop fans are not going to be mad at you, but who is going to be mad at you is Cubs Twitter.
Oh, sure.
Just because like you're taking away from their World Series win.
That's true.
Which like, goddamn, Mookie was right. Like Mookie was really right. Yeah, like Miguel Rojas was entirely within his right to complain to the umpires about that whole fiasco there at Wrigley. That was terrible.
Yeah.
And I like Cubs fans were attacking eventual friend of the show, Chad Moriyama, being like, oh, you don't want them to finish the game because you don't want to lose the game. And it's like, no, I don't care, dude. Like it's April. I don't care about that. I just don't want someone to get hurt. And Cubs fans would be just as mad if Cody Bellinger stepped in a mud puddle and twisted his ankle the wrong way and was out 3 months because the umpires wanted to finish the game for whatever reason. That was ridiculous.
And it was like, there was plenty of time. We're not saying don't do the rain delay, but it lasted so long. And there was plenty of time to just stop the game and play another 4 innings another day. It was like the fourth. It was like, why are we doing this? You're making it seem like it's the 9th inning and you want to finish it out, which is what the Marlins had to do that day. It was their first win and it was like the 9th inning. But I was like, why is this taking so long? I was with you at work, Beau, and it was like, I'm still talking about this 8 hours later because they just started the game again. It didn't make sense, and it rained a lot. So it's like the safety of the players wasn't questioned. It wasn't just the Dodgers. So I agree with Beau. It's like, why? This isn't about just the Dodgers.
I almost guarantee you guys that the Cubs were complaining because the only time they could have finished it was out here, and they didn't want to do that. It was like they had one off day after a 3-game series out in LA, and they probably didn't want to do that. So they made them finish the game that day, but it was disastrous. Terrible.
Yeah, they were only looking at like what it meant in terms of travel time and in terms of travel schedule. They said, we're here, like you guys are finishing this damn game. Like just get to 5, but then they made them play the entire thing.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe that they finished the game. Just get to make it official and call it. Like that's all.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
And of course, the other loss that was in Chicago, because you're looking at the weather in Chicago was bad all the way around. There was a lot of wind in that home opener in Chicago. It was Chicago's home opener. And like Ohtani hit a ball like 110 miles an hour that had like an expected batting average of like 960 or something. And, and then it was caught. It didn't even get to the warning track.
Yeah.
So you had like really stupid things happen in all of these other losses. And that was also the game that Bobby Miller just like came out and was not himself. And again, he was not himself in their loss in Minnesota either. He didn't look as sharp. And so maybe we start saying that, I don't know, maybe day games might be a little bit of a problem for Bobby. Hopefully they're not. I'm sure he's just, just kind of ramping things up and still just getting there.
Well, the Cubs won, that was his birthday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I assume he was partying the night before. I don't know if you've ever seen Bobby Miller, but does not look like someone where baseball is their number one priority at this moment in time.
He's not going to pass up on a celebration.
No, 0 chance.
I really hope, since we're on Bobby Miller, like it's just, it was going to suck if this continues to be a dramatic up and down, but I agree with what you said that like, I don't blame the loss on him today. Yeah, he wasn't great. Or Wednesday, whatever. Sorry. He wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. I don't think he was bad.
No.
He just was not as good as he could have been, but it was better than the last outing. It wasn't as good as the first one. So I just hope that like he figures it out. I wonder, we talk so much about this team and like the big stars, and I really wonder the pressure that the like non-stars feel. because it's like playing with Mookie, playing with Ohtani, playing with Freddie Freeman. Everybody else probably, like the young guys, probably feel like they're on pins and needles, like they're on thin ice. And I can only imagine the pressure they feel because they know how much pressure is on the whole team because of the stars they have. So I hope it's really just nerves with Bobby Miller and that he's feeling himself out. Wasn't the best outing on Wednesday, but I didn't hate it.
Mhm.
Yeah, guys have to labor through starts sometimes. No big deal.
Yeah.
It's fine.
His breaking stuff just wasn't there. He didn't really have great feel of his breaking stuff, and then he got pulled early because of it. And now I guess I don't know. I guess Dave is required by law to put in Alex Vesia first every time he goes to the
Well,
bullpen.
yeah,
now.
that's why you have to you have to read when you go to vote, dude. That was one of the ballot options this year.
This is like he's getting the Pedro Baez treatment. Like
Yeah.
remember,
Oh my
like
no.
okay, we don't want to
No.
remember this, but every single postseason,
I hear the
especially
voices.
every Kershaw start in the postseason, the second he goes to the bullpen, he seems to only see Pedro Baez there and no one else. Yeah. It's as if they all collectively went to the bathroom. It was just Pedro standing there like, I guess,
I'm ready.
But yeah, so the Wednesday loss was a game where for the first time, it just seemed like as a team, they just got outplayed. And when you get 15 games into a season and not have a game like that until the 15th game, things are going pretty damn well. So it's hard to really find a lot of things to complain about as a whole.
Yeah.
They could have
tied
the game. For me, and I am an eternal optimist, so which is my great downfall. But they could have tied the game like Ohtani, which I had no problem with the send there. There's 2 outs.
No, I'm glad they sent him. Yeah, I don't think Dino realized how fast Ohtani was in opening day, and then So yeah, they're learning. Good.
Yeah, Ohtani gets a double when it should be a single. Like it's incredible how he plays. He's quiet, so you don't expect this type of like hustle and like grind because it's like he's not openly like this, like a Bryce Harper, or like a Russell Westbrook in the NBA. He's like quiet, yet that dude runs and he plays every at bat like it's his last at bat, and it's so refreshing to see. Like he just wants to reach as far as he can. So I was all for him being sent to take. Yes, Carlos Correa threw a bomb, but I would have sent him. And I would do that play over and over. It was like by a hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was an incredibly well executed defensive play on the Twins' part, and I'm not going to give credit to Chris Paddock. Chris Paddock pitched fine.
No, yeah, whatever.
Never going to do that. But it was the first time where I felt like, all right, as a team, they just didn't have it today, and. If you're getting 15 games into the season until you finally feel like that, things are going pretty well. Yes,
I feel like Monse is making a point to mention Russell Westbrook as much as she can on this show. I really have a problem with that. I'm gonna start counting it.
What time?
What? That's too many. What is too many?
I'm gonna go put on a Russell Westbrook shirt, okay? Because you hate it for
if you have that, that's bad. There's no way you actually have one.
I don't. I'm lying, actually. But I do. I'm going to go get one now. I'm going to go get one just to have one. Okay?
Unless it's like a Wizards Russell Westbrook or something.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to get an OKC Westbrook.
Deep
what are you
pull.
talking about?
Monse, so you had mentioned about how like some of the non-stars might be feeling pressure, and we did see a slow start from James Outman, but as you mentioned in the intro, you want to address the way that Outman has played over the last few games. So talk about that.
It's like, I know I was jumping a little bit early on the gun because of how early in the season was, but he just looked lost at the plate. He was batting low 100. And then to see him in back-to-back games hit go-ahead home runs, putting the Dodgers in the lead, in a position to win, was really nice to see. And even on Wednesday against the Twins, like, did you guys realize that the bottom 3 in our batting order didn't get a hit until the 6th inning? And who was that hit? James Outman. So, like, it was just nice to see multiple moments in different games where he delivered. It must feel good. Maybe like a relief has come out, off of his shoulders. But I hope like when he hit that his first home run, what I thought of instantly? I was like, oh, we don't need a guy who just only hits home runs every now and then. We already have that, right? And so I was a little bit worried. But then he hit another home run the next game. And then again on Wednesday, from the bottom three, he was the first one to get a hit. So I was just like, wow, this doesn't seem like a fluke home run. It seems like he's getting in a rhythm and a little bit more comfortable maybe at the plate to start the season. So I was glad that I was wrong. When I said he wasn't doing well. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm wrong. I'm happy. I think he's getting in the right groove. And like he's not the only one. Just Teoscar Hernandez, that dude hits better when people are in scoring position. Like we just need people to be on base every single time Teoscar Hernandez gets to the plate, because that dude is hitting better with runners in scoring position. Like I'm happy with what we are seeing with not the stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Teoscar is going to start the All-Star game. It's the same as JD Martinez. Like he's heading in that direction, and we all collectively I forgot to mention him over the first two episodes. He's been phenomenal.
Great.
He's the perfect addition to the middle of the lineup.
It's just the bottom three.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the problem, and that's the thing. That's the thing with me is like I was thinking about this earlier. Totally different sport, totally different thing. But what I don't like is this idea that like you have 162 games to figure it out. So if you lose one here and there because your bottom third of the lineup sucks, like give guys time to figure it out. Like I get that to a degree, but like look at what's happening with the Los Angeles Lakers right now, where they were intentionally like doing poorly because they were trying to figure out lineups and stuff and losing games. And now they're in a position where they might not even make the playoffs because they put themselves in such a deep hole. Not that the Dodgers are going to do that. It's all just to say, like, if Gavin Lux has shown us enough at this point, and Chris Taylor, I think, has shown us enough at this point, because Chris Taylor hasn't been good for like a year and a half now.
Yeah.
He's been doing nothing but striking out.
Excited out.
Like, that bottom third of the lineup, if you can make moves now to make it better, why wait for July for the trade deadline? You are the Dodgers. You're in it to win it right now. You don't have the same grace that a team like the Orioles might have because they have all these young guys and they're so exciting. Or even the Yankees. Like, I don't think the same amount of pressure is on the Yankees to win this year as it is on the Dodgers. So I don't want to see. Basically, I'm pretty fed up with watching Chris Taylor go up there and stare at pitches and strike out. And Gavin Lux is just so wildly inconsistent at this point where, that bottom third of the lineup is scary.
It is.
In a bad way.
Yeah, especially because, like, the Dodgers, despite the bottom three, the Dodgers offense leads with 19 homers, 77 RBIs, 133 hits, 79 runs scored. And here we are where the bottom three can't do anything. Can you imagine if we could just tweak that a tiny little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, can we shout out to the Ohtani slow start people after like a week? I think at this point he's easily the best hitter on the team. Like, I don't even think it's very close. Like, it's so good to. I sent you that Giants fan that was comparing. I'm gonna butcher his name, but is it Jung-Ho Lee?
Yeah.
The Korean player. Yeah. Comparing his start to Ohtani's after a week and a half, if that. Yeah, Jesus, dude. What is wrong with people?
Yeah, like last I checked, in the last 7 games, 3 homers, 5 doubles, a triple, 5 RBIs, 7 runs scored for Ohtani.
Yeah.
Last I checked.
He's OPSing like 1,000. Like, he's fine.
And then at least 20 balls that he's hit over 100 miles per hour. That leads the league. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
What are we doing? There's nothing bad to say about the guy.
Such a good moment in time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the point where, like, I know it sounds like so obvious to say, but like Ohtani is straight up the best hitter in baseball. It's incredible. It's remarkable watching him. You stop what you're doing every time he comes to the plate, and especially over this last week plus, ever since he got that first home run and kind of got that it got into the groove and kind of shook off the nerves a little bit. Like it's
you knew it was coming.
Amazing. Yeah,
you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Nobody hits the ball that hard and just doesn't find grass the entire season. There's no way.
But let's go back to that black hole, and that is of course the bottom third of the lineup, because Beau, as you mentioned, you want to kind of get into specifically more on Gavin Lux and where he's at and how he's been performing.
I'm just gonna bang that drum all season until it changes, but like I don't know what else you need to see from the guy. He's dangerously close to just being a bust, straight up. I know he lost a year to an ACL injury, but again, like the Dodgers are a team with expectations and needs. And I don't want Mookie playing shortstop all year long. I just flat out don't.
Yeah.
It's good for him for stepping up and doing it, but it's risky to say the least. Like, I know he's cooled off considerably since Ryan over there proclaimed that he was going to be the greatest player of all time last time.
Yeah. Still can be.
But yeah, it's just he still needs to be there late into the season. And I don't know, man. Like, you're telling me Trey Sweeney can't come up and at least play adequate defense at shortstop? Like, there's nobody you can get out there that, like, Gavin Lux can't even run into a hit right now. Like, he's just not got it. Just whatever reason. I don't know if he needs a reset at AAA or what, but
maybe that's what I was just about to ask you. I was like, I don't feel like he's, done for life. I just think he needs a change of scenery. Pressure, I think he's got a little bit of the yips, a little bit of nervousness. Like, again, he had the freak accident, not a collision with somebody. Like, he was just by himself running. He doesn't seem comfortable in his own skin. And I don't know how you fix that when you are under this mega spotlight with the Dodgers. Here we are talking about their offense and how the bottom three, Beau wants him out, wants him sent off. Like, a change of scenery might be exactly what that guy needs.
I honestly don't think that's a bad idea. And because as we've talked about, he needed this spring training more than anybody else on the Dodgers. And it was unfortunate for him that it was an abbreviated one. He needs this extra time to get regular reps, not only at shortstop, but at the plate as well. Like, there's not really anything that's looked like it's working for him. And going back to Oklahoma City, where he hit like 85 home runs or whatever, like, I mean, it might actually like kind of help him get that swing back at the very least, and then work through, whatever defensive issues he's having. It was, admittedly kind of tough to watch that Cubs series and see Michael Busch give really strong at bats.
Yeah.
Like that's a bummer. Obviously Busch can't play short, but he can play second.
Busch can't play anyway. Busch can't even play second.
He can't. Yeah.
He can't. He can only play first base.
Yeah.
So like in a world where the Dodgers don't have Freddie Freeman, sure, they have Michael Busch there, but that's such a predictable, like, I love that from Dodger fans. Like, the guy we traded is killing us. We should have never traded him. Like, what? There's nothing they could have done. Yeah. They tried. They tried every single thing they possibly could to get Busch into the lineup in the majors, and he can't play defense anywhere but first, so there's no room for you. Sorry. It's about to happen with Miguel Vargas, too. If Vargas can't play in the outfield in the majors, then he's going to get sent packing. Mm-hmm. Like, and I don't know if that's what you do with Gavin Lux or what, but like, it's like, I always think about that season, was it 2019 or 2020 when the Giants won 107 games? Like, how many games did the Dodgers lose early in the season because it's like, it's all right, they'll figure it out. This guy will figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen in August or September. Mm-hmm. And then, like, when you have to play as hard as you can in September because you didn't win the division or you haven't locked up the division yet, you get shit like Max Muncy having his elbow run into by someone on the Brewers, and then you lose him for a year and a half anyway. Yeah. So I'm dangerously close to just giving up on Gavin Lux entirely. You guys are probably more correct in that they should send him down, but I don't know. He's obviously got no trade value anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. And you mentioned Miguel Vargas. He's been tearing it up at AAA. which is awesome to see. That's great because obviously like there was a reason why the Dodgers gave him a shot last season. He has real potential with that bat. It just completely fell flat once he got to the majors. Yeah,
and I think people forget that he had a spring training injury, just like Justin Turner would all the time too. Like he talking about not getting a fair chance and needing spring training. But.
It's just unfortunate that this team has like half of their infield is guys who are actually supposed to play different positions. So it's
they're legitimately all first basemen except for Mookie.
Yeah.
Like that's
hey man, first baseman can hit though. That's all we want. To wrap things up here, obviously pitching injuries have become a hot topic in the league across this last week plus. Of course, pitching injuries have been a big problem for a long time now. But then Garrett Cole goes down yet again, and then suddenly Spencer Strider probably is going to need Tommy John. And now people are freaking out.
Framber Valdez, right? I think.
Framber Valdez, yesterday Josiah, or like Monday. I don't know what day, but Monday Josiah Gray was also scratched from his start with elbow issues and a flexor. It's like, what?
Yeah,
I don't like this.
Oh no, it's not good.
Yuri
Perez is another one. Like people,
Yuri
Perez
I forgot about that
this year, and instantly Tommy John.
You know what's funny about this? Not funny because it sucks. It's one of those things where I think everybody is right in terms of how they are saying like the cause. Like I think Verlander was right in that you can't ask guys to go out there and throw max velocity and max spin every single time and expect them to be fully healthy because the motion of overhand pitching isn't even natural in the first place. So like that is definitely contributing. The pitch clock for sure is contributing. Ohtani mentioned that he thinks the pitch clock is the culprit or a culprit. I think Tyler Glasnow is dead on the money. I think he's the most right of anybody in saying that the cold turkey ban of sticky stuff completely altered the ways guys have to pitch and how they approach pitching. And they're using muscles now that they never had to use before. And they don't know how to compensate. And before you know it, they're just tearing things and blowing things out because their body just isn't supposed to be doing this. Like, it's one of those things where it's like everybody's right. And there's no real solid answer to it. And it doesn't matter because Major League Baseball isn't going to do anything because they think everything they've done recently is right and good. So
and both. Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah.
Out of all the things you mentioned, you still didn't even mention the stupid analytical side of things where now they're like, oh no, you reached 80 pitches. You have to come out of the game. Like that's such horse shit. And so like all of this built up muscle and stamina and endurance, that's also gone out the window. So it's like all of these things are an actual factor. And it just depends on the player. But it's like so scary that it's this early in the season and all of these pitchers are falling. Like every day, it's like another one. Like I just hope we're not saying that about the Dodgers.
I think it was what Alex Wood said that like when he was coming up, guys wouldn't even pick up a ball until like January.
Right.
And now they're throwing year round.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's not good.
To the point with where we see the game at, because of course there's a very real thing in terms of like pitch counts and the way that like diminishing returns are handled. But the reason why like people are so strict on pitch counts is because guys are throwing at max effort for the entire game. I think Jeff Passan suggested like if you lower the amount of the maximum amount of pitchers that you can have on a roster, it's going to force starting pitchers to not throw at max effort for the entire game, forcing them to go later into games because you're only going to have 5 relievers available. I think, and to your point, Beau, what if you missed what Tyler Glasnow had said a couple years ago was after the sticky stuff ban, he admitted like he used sunscreen and rosin on a daily basis, which is completely legal. You can use rosin sitting there on the mound. You can have sunscreen on you. You know, I should have more of it on me. I'm getting burnt inside. But if he would take the rosin bag and wipe the back of his neck, and it would help his fingers get a little more sticky. And the idea there is, sure, it does create more spin on the ball, so that way it maximizes velocity, but it also is helping you control the ball more, so that way you don't have to torque your elbow like crazy to get huge break on these pitches. Glass now went cold turkey. He threw one of the best outings of his life, and the next day it felt like his arm was going to fall off. And sure enough, he had torn his UCL again. So I think the league needs more league-approved substances that pitchers can use, so that way they can have a more comfortable feel on the ball. That way they're not literally straining themselves. And yes, it also is a developmental issue where guys shouldn't, quite frankly, I can go on a gigantic tangent, but basically, like, front offices reward people for throwing at max velocity, right? Like, I mean, Spencer Strider is, even if he gets Tommy John, whenever he does come back, if he shows for a month that he can be who he used to be, he's going to get 200 million plus easily. These guys are going to get paid no matter what. So if you go out and throw it that max effort for 3 years, you get yourself a 9-digit contract, and then it doesn't matter what you do the rest of your life. Your arm can continuously fall off, and who cares? You got paid. So there's a lot of issues with this ordeal that people get into. I was watching, I had the Mariners Blue Jays game on today. Yimi Garcia, remember him? Came into the game throwing 99. Yimi Garcia is currently throwing 99. It's insane. So good on him for extending his career. But that's the other thing. You have guys like Yimi Garcia who are journeyman relievers where they're incentivized to, like, hey, if you can have one season where if you can just pump 99, then that's fine. That's your shelf life. We're good. You're done. Yeah. So it's a very complex issue. I think
Passan is right. I think taking a pitcher or two off the roster total is the ideal. It would just take a couple seasons for that really to take effect. But I fully think that Major League Baseball needs to just emergency allow some form of substance for grip just to get through this season and then kind of reassess in the off season. But again, I don't think either of those are going to happen because it's like you mentioned yesterday, Ryan, like the extra 2 seconds off the pitch clock when there's runners on base, like just completely unnecessary and something they enacted 2 weeks before the season started. They don't care. Major League Baseball doesn't care.
No,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, every single rule change that Major League Baseball has had has been inherently anti-pitcher. Bans on shifts, obviously the pitch clock and everything. It's all to boost offense, which I understand. But if you look at the game and go say that the problem is offenses are too bad because they're too analytically inclined, because guys are just trying to hit the balls at greater launch angles and just trying to hit home runs, and you devalue batting average because of that. Sure, all those things are accurate, but also the reason why offenses went down is because pitching has gotten so damn good.
Right. And Verlander mentioned it too. They change the balls all the time. Guys don't know. It's just so bad. So bad.
And what's sad is to change it, to fix it, it's not going to happen overnight. It's actually going to take years in order to get this back to protecting the arm in a way where it makes sense. And like you said, Beau, bring back something of the sticky stuff to allow these guys to not feel the need to have to lose their arm because of that. Now, if you're losing your arm because you're throwing 120 pitches, that's different. You know what I'm saying? If I were a pitcher, I would be I'd rather have 5 years of where I am a baller and my arm is falling off because I've pitched 120 pitches every single game. Instead of you telling me I got to do this, I got to do that, and then I have a 10-year career that's mediocre. I wouldn't want that. I'd rather just go balls to the walls for 5 years and be badass and make my money instead of just being mediocre for a longer career.
Yeah, and I hate to praise Justin Verlander ever at all, but that is another thing he said is that these kids are being told in high school, if you want to be a major league pitcher, every single pitch, max velocity, max spin, every single pitch. So that's not something you're just going to you're not going to enact a rule change in Major League Baseball and it's going to get all the way down to high school baseball and, the next day. Rob Manfred's not going to call up the head coach of Podunk USA and be like, hey, stop telling your guys to throw with max effort. All right, we're not doing that anymore. It's not going to happen overnight. So
So
not
Rob
the end,
Manfred's gonna do
unfortunately.
anything.
Yeah,
No. That's the par for the course.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't even mention him because he's not gonna do shit.
yeah, and the most important thing too is that this is all Trevor Bauer's fault.
Yeah.
Which should be noted and put into the annals of history. Trevor Bauer ruined pitching.
Sounds like a joke, but remember, like,
Oh, it's serious.
Bauer,
Yeah.
Bauer 100%, like, he made a point multiple times throughout his career to test different substances on the mound just for fun. But it was really because he's a massive troll and he wanted to troll Rob Manfred. So Manfred got the final say by just banning everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks a lot, Trevor. You are chopping people's arms off. So, that's great. All right. Well, I think we should wrap up. Hopefully, we don't see these sort of issues happen with the Dodgers. Monse, I know you brought up like it's very concerning.
Really?
And if you look at where the Dodgers are at, like Bobby Miller kind of feels like a sort of time bomb for this sort of issue, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's not put it out there. Let's not put that out there.
No.
But it is something that it's impossible to ignore. That it's happening. It's very real, and it seems that it could happen at any moment to anyone.
It can even happen to you.
That's a good life lesson right there.
I was a softball pitcher, so my motion
you're
is
good.
natural.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're good.
so it won't
That's
happen.
what we should do. Oh my god, guys,
Let's
just start
strike you
throwing
out.
underhand overnight.
I can strike you guys out.
Oh, 100%. I haven't picked up a bat since I was 12. There's no way.
I was a glove first shortstop when I played, so
Yeah.
that's a very kind way of saying I didn't have much of a bat on me. So.
All right, we might have to go to a park and see. I need to take some hacks.
This would be good content.
Yeah,
Let's
all right.
go.
We're planning
we should bring the cricket bat. We didn't mention the cricket bat.
Yeah, the cricket bat. We're out of time. Shout out to the cricket bat.
Shout out.
The
official team mascot of 2024 for the Dodgers will be the cricket bat. I think that's good.
The fusion dance and the cricket bat.
All right. Well, until next week, hopefully the Dodgers go above 500 over the next week. That'd be fun. But we'll see. Hey, this is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Of course, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the video. If you like us, leave a comment, leave a rating. Check us out on all your podcasting platforms. Follow us there. Follow us at SickPodDodgers on Twitter, twitter.com. Also known as X. I still call it Twitter, and I will do so for the rest of my life.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
If you can type in twitter.com and go to that website, then I'm calling it Twitter.
Yes.
Thanks, Matt Elon. Until next time, thank you all so much, as always, for checking us out. Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Thank you. Yeah, just kidding. Show's not done. You make it as a real sports podcast when you record an entire episode and then have news break that instantly makes you look stupid for not having it in the episode. So literally moments after recording, this news comes down that Shohei Ohtani is in fact a victim of a crime, as he has said that he is. That Ippei Mizuhara is guilty of stealing from him, and in fact, it might even be more money than just the $4.5 million that's reported. Monse, you report on news for Fox Sports Radio. You work at the news desk at Fox Sports Radio. Can you give us some more details about this story?
Yeah, guys, this is pretty crazy. It seems as though he really did everything in the dark, right under Shohei's nose. Everything that people were like, there's no way. How would he not know? Guys, he didn't know. And it makes perfect sense. Like, if you have this much money, you just assume somebody else is looking over it, right? Like, you're not paying attention to the details of it. And that's what it seems like. There are reports that he is in negotiations to plead guilty in this whole theft, according to all these reports. Beau, what did you read? This just broke.
Yeah,
so it's like stuff keeps coming out.
Yeah. The big thing to me is this is yet another example of like American sports fans needing to understand that they are not the sole proprietor of like everything in the world. Like immediately after this happened and you had all these people be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that happen? Like, he's just his interpreter. You had other interpreters for guys that had been playing the league forever that were like, I handled everything for them on a day-to-day basis so that they could just worry about playing baseball while they adjust to a new country. So it was never out of the realm of possibility that Mizuhara had access to Ohtani's accounts. Mm-hmm. And then as this investigation revealed, he changed the settings on Ohtani's bank account so that Ohtani was never notified about any of these transfers. So Ohtani was telling the truth. It was always the most logical outcome to me, and I think to all of us. Like, we never once believed that from what we knew about Shohei Ohtani as a person, that he would gamble on sports at all, and that he would be this deep in the hole with somebody that he would need to blame his interpreter. And why would his interpreter have ever been a fall guy for him? Like, that made no sense too. Like, once again, conspiracy-brained people need to just take a step back and relax and let things play out as we did here. And shockingly, Ohtani didn't do anything wrong and is in fact the victim.
So
as we all knew was going to happen.
I thought that there was a little bit of truth that Ohtani knew Ipe was in some trouble and that he was helping a friend out. I thought there may have been some truth to that. But you're right. I can't remember the interpreter, but it was a guy who had been an interpreter in Major League Baseball. And he kind of said what you said, Bo. He was like, you're literally like helping a person create a life in a new world. Mm-hmm. Like, you help them open bank accounts, get a new credit card, get a car, like all of the most basic of things they're helping them do. So I thought there may have been a little bit of truth that he was helping out a friend, maybe not knowing the details of like why he was helping out a friend, but from what is in these reports is that Shohei had no idea at all that this was happening. Like, poor guy to be put in this dark, spotlight. As we all saw, so many people wanted him to be guilty simply because he was a Dodger. That is why they wanted him to be guilty. Not because he was a disliked guy or because he had a bad reputation or because he had done something that you just wanted him to be guilty for. No, it was simply because he was making how much money and playing for the Dodgers. And so it's just like so refreshing to see that literally Shohei is in the set 100%, so everybody can suck it. Okay?
There are people that we work with on a daily basis who I will not name, but they have some crow to eat. One of them can barbecue with his flamethrower. The other one, he can manage two guys yelling at each other for 3 hours from 4 to 7. He can think about the things he's done and said while he does that. Actually, I will name Rob G. Rob Gary, you will never be on this podcast now. You are banned. You are 100% banned. I cooked you on Twitter about this, and I'm gonna keep doing it. You're not allowed on here. If I ever miss a show and I found out that Rob G stepped in for me, it's over. I will never. This will never be allowed. It's just people just wanted him to be guilty. You're totally right, Monse. Like, they wanted him to be guilty because it's just been a thing with Ohtani since he signed here. Like, he went from being the lovable baseball guy that everybody loves to, oh man, he signed with the Dodgers, but maybe I can still stomach that because he's still good. Oh, he's deferring all of his contract. Oh, well, now I hate him forever. And oh, they signed Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Like, I'll never forgive them. Like, just a cascading thing. And so this was like their one chance, I think, to like have something to lord over the Dodgers. But it just from the get-go, it never made any sense that he would do this.
This is all just the ending of Game of Thrones, right? Like, as we went towards the final season of Game of Thrones, everybody had created these headcanons of like really interesting ways that the series could end. And then once it actually played out, it was not nearly that interesting. And then so they all just got mad and chose to believe that their own headcanons instead were actually what happened. And unfortunately, no, I'm sorry, that's not what happened. Yeah, having a global superstar be embroiled in the sports betting controversy is a very fun fantasy to believe in. But unfortunately for all of you, that's not what happened. Yeah. The man, and very unfortunately for him, he got.
I've already seen people say that. Well, of course he's found innocent. The Major League Baseball wouldn't want him to miss any time or anything like that. I don't think the federal government cares about Shohei Ohtani missing any playing time.
No.
100%.
Yeah. Maybe
Like,
if this was a major league investigation, but this is the feds.
There's a state senator in the Bay Area right now who's trying to fight against Ohtani's contract because they're claiming that it circumvents so many tax dollars from the state, which sure it probably does, but who gives a shit? Obviously, like, if the government wouldn't care about his status, if he was guilty, they would go after him. So
right, they would 100% jump on the opportunity. I'm glad you brought that up about his deferred money. Yes, somebody is trying to stop that or fix that loophole. This is crazy. Also, I didn't like Game of Thrones. I didn't get past the first episode because I didn't care about the dragon eggs, but whatever, sure, it's like Game of Thrones, whatever. The point is, guys, that we can finally put this story to bed and let the season actually continue, where we're no longer wondering what Shohei's involvement was with his interpreter and his gambling addiction. This is sealed and done, and if anyone brings it up, they're gonna get punched. Right?
Yeah,
like, we're done.
we will enforce violence. And to the point where, like, where people question this idea of, like, well, how would you, that was the question that people kept harping on was, how would you notice all that money? How would you not notice that all that money is gone? And for one, as we now know, it was covered up, which is a solution that we probably should have come up with. Like that, it doesn't seem that hard. No. You just change the push notifications on your phone, and suddenly, like, you're not getting notified.
I would not have thought of that. Change the settings on bank accounts.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't get notifications. I would not. That's brilliant. Yeah. Like, can I just say, Ebed, that was brilliant.
Yeah. That's when keeping it real goes wrong, unfortunately.
But also, like, there's so many situations where, like, incredibly successful celebrities have had millions, way more than what Ohtani had stolen from them. You know, like Beau, you mentioned Nicolas Cage. Like, the reason why Nicolas Cage does so many movies is because he's the greatest actor on the planet, and he gets cast in every role that he goes out for, but also because he had like $20 million stolen from him at one point. So, like, he's Billy Joel, like, sued his manager of 30 years for $90 million, claiming, like, fraud and theft and all of these things. Like, Alanis Morissette had a bunch of money stolen from her. Like, these things unfortunately do happen to these people because they're super powerful, and quite frankly, they're so wrapped up in their art and their job that they just hire people to take care of the money, and they trust them because that's their job to do it. And unfortunately, you can't always trust people who are handling big amounts of money.
But that's it. The minute that you trust one person, when you get to that level of having that type of, like, attention and money and fame, and you let someone into your inner circle, you feel like, all right, they've passed all the tests that I had. You know, we all have individual, like, little tests when it comes to your inner circle of friends. And that's what sucks. It's like, clearly he had trusted this dude and, like, let him in, as many of us do. We have all had friends betray us. We've all had it happen. It's just we're not millionaires. But, like, if I had a friend who was taking $5 out of my bank account every month, I wouldn't notice it. And that's the equivalent. For me, it's about $5 a month compared to Shohei. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but overall, from a baseball standpoint, this is great. This is great.
No, this is good. This is good. Just get over with.
That was faster than I thought it would be resolved. So, let's all move on. Ohtani is innocent, and you can go back to whining about the home run ball now if you want, I guess. Whatever. All right. Well, that's it for the bonus edition of this episode of the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. We'll see you in 15 minutes when it is revealed that Clayton Kershaw is actually moving to Africa and is not going to pitch anymore, or whatever gigantic breaking news story happens in the next half hour. Tomorrow's an off day. Like, this was such perfect timing for this episode. Like, it was a day game, and then Thursday's an off day. All right. Well, hopefully nothing big comes down until then. Until next time, this is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone, on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.